Hugh, we get to react to something we haven't had a chance to do around here in a while, which is a deadline blockbuster. Jhoan Duran last night.
Jhoan Duran.
I love his name. I love the pitcher, too. He is one of the best closers in baseball. And Hugh, yesterday the Phillies land him. And it was one of those things I was watching and following the rumors all day. And at some point, I thought they were going to miss out on him because it seemed like the Twins were demanding Andrew Painter. And the Phillies said, we're not giving up Andrew Painter. And then I'm like, where's he going to go? Dodgers, Mariners. And then it circled back around the time the Phillies were actually playing the White Sox, which I think I heard on the morning show we're just going to ignore that game yesterday, just pretend that didn't happen.
You know, it's funny.
Just totally ignore the game.
Listening, shout out to Bros. Listening to the Bros last night, trying to glean what was going on. Nobody talked about it.
No. We buried that one last night.
Yeah, it was one of those ones where the news of the day kind of outweighed everything. As a matter of fact, saw a little bit of the High Host podcast last night.
There we go.
Tuned in and saw you guys glowing.
Oh, yeah.
So it was one of those
things. Happy one.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it was one of those things where I was like, well, I guess we ain't really talking too much about the game.
There's big picture and there's small picture. Last night's game, small potatoes. The big story is who the Phillies got their closer. Jhoan Duran from the Twins is here. He's been one of the best relievers in baseball for years. He has 2 more years on his contract after this year. He's got control. He averages 100 miles an hour on his fastball.
On average. Rolling out of the bed.
We're not going to know what to do when we see this guy. Guys, think about our bullpen right now. They don't throw at any velocity. We haven't seen someone like this around here in a very long time. Hugh, what's your reaction? Because mine is, I love this. Look, they gave up Mick Abel, who showed us some promise when he got to the big leagues this year. They give up Eduardo Taid, who could have become their future catcher, but he's only 19 years old. He's probably 3 to 4 to 5 years away from being an everyday regular player. I said yesterday I didn't care about the future. I still believe that. I still feel that. The future is now, and Duran gives them a better chance, a way better chance, to get through the postseason and win the World Series with him in the back end. Hugh, what was your reaction when you heard, and how are you feeling right now?
You know, allow me to long talk for a minute, Joe, because there was a lot going on yesterday. You know, we had the rain delay game. We had the beatdown that we took that nobody talked about.
We talked about not talking about.
No, but I think it's relevant to the conversation that we're having.
Well, the bullpen did get destroyed yesterday against the White Sox.
And the fact that, you know, this city is so passionate about baseball and all their sports that it didn't matter that we lost to a bad team because we got a good closer.
Got rocked
like
by a bad
team. That blew my mind. Like, because when I turned on, you know, like I said, watch my man Seltzer on TV, and nobody mentioned it. Everybody's just smiling and happy.
I know.
And I'm like, this guy must be that dude.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, listening to Bros last night, this guy must be that dude. And I was like, wow, that was the biggest thing that I took away from it, because losing to the Sox the way that we did, it was, most people would be upset about that. That would be the conversation. Nobody cares. Nobody
Well,
cares.
he has been that dude in the big league since he got up. I mean, James, we're talking about one of the better closers in baseball, and the fact that they got him without giving up their 2 or 3 best prospects that's the win to me. Like, they got him. They still have more ammo for today. And they solved an issue, or at least helped solve an issue, which has been there all year. This bullpen stinks. And they can't get strikeouts out there. They can't get outs out there. And this guy does it all.
He changes everything.
Yeah.
I mean, the complexion of the bullpen, with having Kerkering and Strom just like reasserting himself, like all of a sudden, and then you add Robertson. All of a sudden, the bullpen has some depth to it. It has guys you feel comfortable pitching in big games in the postseason. And to what you were saying, I mean, this guy is that dude. He's the best closer we've had here in over a decade. He has the best stuff, arguably, of any closer in the sport. I mean, you mentioned the speed. He has the second hardest average fastball in baseball this year to Mason Miller. He has the hardest average splitter by like 4 miles per hour.
Look how
his splitter comes in at 98.5 miles per hour.
I'm going to need to sit down when I watch him pitch for the first time. We haven't seen this around here in so long. A relief pitcher that could throw strikes and velocity.
It's gonna like pop off the screen to people when they see it, and just as like watching every game of this team, like night to night, just to be able to go into the 9th inning with a lead and feel comfortable. I mean, that's going to be such a freeing feeling as a Phillies fan. They have to add a bat. I know we'll get into that, but they had 2 massive needs to make this team great, and they filled one of them in a way better way than I could have thought. And quickly to your point about what they gave up, like they gave up a lot. Taid and Abel are real prospects, but I am stunned stunned that was all it took to get to.
I agree. I thought it would have been more, and I think Dave Dombrowski made a great deal yesterday. 215-592-9494. Your reaction to all this. I mean, we did a show, Hugh, I think it was a week or so ago. Do you expect the Phillies to make a big move? And we had a lot of our audience said they did not. I
didn't expect that.
I know you didn't. And you know what? And it was fair based on, like you said, his history here. Now, Dave Dombrowski's history in baseball is he does this. This is what he does. I want to hear from everyone today. 215-592-9494. We got a lot going on today. Al's going to be with us next hour. James on the news desk. Jack will hop in on the news desk. Later on, Scott Fransky will be here for the 12 o'clock hour. Excited to have Scott's thoughts on everything going on, what happens. James will tell us any moves that are happening and big rumors, including the Phillies, what they're involved in today. And then later in the show, Spike and Ike, before their show, will be with us. So a lot going on the show today, live at McGurk's. We want your phone calls and your reaction to the Phillies landing Duran from the Twins. But two thoughts I had, you, that why this is such a big deal. One, Dave Dombrowski finally did it, right? Like he has slow played making the big move in a trade since he got here. He's done it in free agency, right? He signed Trey Turner. He gave him tons of money.
Yeah.
And he signed Schwarber and Castellanos. He's done it in free agency. But he has not made a big trade. And 2 deadlines in a row, he had the opportunity to make the team better and put him over the hump.
He didn't do it.
He didn't do it. I mean, he got guys like Michael Lorenzen and Rodolfo Castro, fringe players, Austin Hayes. Even Carlos Estevez is not close to the level of Jhoan Duran. So finally Dombrowski did it. And the second thing, Hugh, that struck me, and James kind of alluded to this, is they now have a presence in the 9th inning. And I think that makes a big deal in October. I'm just thinking, like, if the Phillies get a lead, 2-1, 3-1.
And then you got that guy throwing that gas.
You know what you have? I think you also have the opponent starts counting the outs.
Yeah,
like,
100%.
As a fan, I do that. Like, if the Phillies are facing one of the best closers, dude. I'm like bleep. You know, there's 9 outs to go, but it's really 6, right? Like, we got to face that guy in the 9th inning. I always thought the Yankees had an advantage, not just because Rivera was great. It was like, it's the 6th inning. He's coming in the 8th. Like, you only have 2 innings left to score, and then otherwise the game is over. Hugh, this guy's that good. And not quite Rivera, but he's that good that I think he just changes the way the games go in October. The fact that he's waiting for the 9th inning.
And the fact that, you know, when you think about it, 100 miles an hour
on average?
Like late in the game, and you got that gas, got that arm. Yeah, got that cannon, yeah. I don't recall seeing that here ever, so I'm excited to see that.
Billy Wagner is the closest
back in
thing
that's
20 years ago.
That was a long time ago. And Billy Wagner, I remember Billy because Billy was like a little fire plug.
Yeah, Billy, Hall of Famer now.
Yeah, congratulations to Billy.
But you're right, James. You're right. It's been 20 years we've seen that around here. I mean, Papelbon was good. No one liked him, but he was good. But he wasn't throwing as hard.
Lynch wasn't throwing that. We had great closers, but we have not had a guy who throws gas like this since Billy Wagner.
Well, just think about this compared to the rest of the last few Octobers. I mean, 2022 it worked for the most part, but they were like piecemealing it together. It was Eflin and Alvarado and Sir Anthony, and then in 2023 was a disaster with Kimbrel and Kerkering wasn't ready for the moment, and then last year. It blew up. I mean, James, they had a good bullpen going in, but Hoffman struggled, and Estevez, he gave up the grand slam to Lindor. I mean, we haven't had a guy that you could count on in the big moment in a very long time. All right, let's hear Dave Dombrowski yesterday after the trade went down, asked, I think, a fair question, like, hey, Topper usually mixes and matches. What is this guy? Is he the closer? Here's Dombrowski yesterday.
Thompson hasn't formally used the closer designation that much in past years. What made you want to get a guy that you can even give that label to?
Because he's good enough. Really, I mean, he's legitimate. I mean, he's a legitimate closer, and we talked about it beforehand that if we got him, he'd be our guy. So, and then it does help in the sense that he can mix and match around. He gets lefties and righties out. In fact, his average, I mean, righties don't hit him. Their batting average is their OPS is not very good at all, but their batting average for lefties are just it's amazing how low it is overall. And so he gets lefties and righties out. The one thing they told me, they said, don't worry, he'll pitch. If you wanted to use another inning, he would. And Ralph Thompson said, well, we're pitching him in the 9th. You know, now he has also pitched multiple innings at various times too, but I don't think we're getting him for that purpose.
The fact that he said he's good enough, he's legit, it was almost his way, James, of saying, we really haven't had a real closer. That's why we run the bullpen the way we do.
Yeah, blatantly. And I think that, you know, it's not just the 9th, it's the way it shakes out beforehand. The reason Rob Thompson has used, whether it's Alvarado or Kerkering, in these spots in the 7th or 8th against the heart of the order, is because he knows he doesn't trust anyone else to face those guys. Now you can bring Kerkering in to face the heart of the order and still have Duran waiting behind him. So it's such a massive move for the Royals. And again, we haven't really talked about Robertson coming back too. And to your point, I do think, and we talked about this in the morning, but we talk so much, and rightfully so, about the bats, swinging them out of the playoffs last year. We don't talk nearly enough about the bullpen being an abject failure in the playoffs as well, which contributed perhaps equally as much to them being out last year.
I think we always point back to the bats. They got no hit in the World Series in 22 after they were up 2-1, and they've gone cold too. But James is right, and you think about, go back to the Arizona series. If they don't blow Game 4, they may not go to Game 7, right? But the bats may not have the chance to go cold. I mean, Kimbrel and Kerkering struggling in Arizona flipped the series back to the Diamondbacks. We may not have to have that happen. And let me point back to last year. I know Game 3 and 4 were a disaster against the Mets. The Phillies win Game 1 if they finish the game. I was at the game. Yeah. Wheeler pitched as good of a game as you could have. They have a 1-0 lead. Now, I know you want more runs, but Hugh, the bullpen closes Game 1. They probably beat the Mets in that series last year.
Yeah, I mean, it's hope springs eternal. When you talk about a guy that throws like that and you have these tight games, because that's been the Phillies' Achilles heel in the playoffs, is when they face good pitching, the bats go cold.
So the games are probably going to be tight.
Yeah, really tight. So that's why you need somebody that's going to be – if you're going to go get a bat, you need somebody that's going to be consistent at the plate when they get up and don't swing for the fences all the time.
Yeah, speaking of those bats, we heard from Jim Salisbury in the morning show earlier this week that the veterans, they really wanted to move, and they would have been upset if not. Let's hear from Schwarber after the game last time when he got word of Duran coming to the Phillies. Here's what he had to say.
Whenever you make a splash for a high-caliber player, that means something. And it means they really want you to, they really want to help put you over the top and get you going. And with our adding him to some of our back-end arms that we have already, that I feel like that's going to be a really tough 7-8-9 to kind of navigate for an offense.
So, James, it's interesting the way he framed it. One, it gives them a boost. And I think they needed that. I mean, when I heard Jim say that on your show, was it Monday or Tuesday, I was like, you know what? It's striking because they're basically saying we need help. Dave, come on, we've danced this dance before. Help us. I think it's a huge boost to the clubhouse.
Totally, and I think we don't think about those type of things enough. We talk so much about culture and everyone being fired up and motivated and all that. We don't talk enough about how not investing in a team in a trade deadline in this situation can suck the life out of guys. Can say, all right, our front office doesn't even believe in us enough to go add to get the guys we need, and that can really sink a team's sails. I think this is a massive, obviously, infusion of talent, but also infusion of life in that clubhouse potentially.
There was a quote this morning. Schwarber was quoted by Todd Zolecki saying it reminds him of when the Cubs went and got Chapman in 2016.
That's a big quote, man.
I know, and the Cubs were good enough maybe without him, but that was like the all right, guys, let's go finish this.
They gave up a real, Gleyber Torres said that was a real prospect at that point.
I was saying yesterday, in totality, the Cubs got 40 innings out of Chapman. The Yankees got 6 years and a few All-Star games out of Torres. The Yankees probably won the deal, but the Cubs won the World Series.
And would make the trade 100 times out of 100.
If Eduardo Taillon goes on to be, I heard Joe this morning, when I was on that hour with you guys, he said he could be the best catcher in baseball one day. Okay. Hey, he could. If the Phillies win the World Series with Duran, I'm not going to care. 215-592-9494. Kyle back in the studio. How are we feeling this morning, Kyle, as the Phillies land a closer?
I don't know how you could not feel super pumped. And I get the whole tight thing, but we'll find a new and better catching prospect. I don't give a crap about him right now. Screw the future. we did this whole thing yesterday. The future is now. So I love the Duran move. Would I feel better if they got another bullpen arm? Just given what the Mets did, I still think the back of their bullpen might be a little bit better with Helsley and Diaz. But I think since we need less length out of our bullpen, our starting pitchers go deeper, I can live with it. Definitely want that bat, though. So I'm looking for Dave to do a little bit more today.
Yeah, and we are on the lookout. James is at the trade desk. Anything we hear, rumors with the Phillies. Before we go to the phone lines, quickly, this morning, I guess a few names still being bandied about as potential bats, right? So Luis Robert, we know about James. He's still out there from the White Sox. Stephen Kwan, probably the best possible position player that could get moved today.
That at least has been talked about.
Yes,
You
and
never
then
know.
The Cardinals bats started to come up this morning, which is interesting because it feels like the Phillies and Cardinals have almost lined up on deals a lot the last couple years. They were in on the Helsley thing. So
they did make the JoJo Romero for Edmundo Sosa deal a few years ago.
So look, Brendan Donovan's one of my favorite players in baseball. So
he's so much fun.
A bat. We are on the lookout for a bat.
Lars Nootbaar would make these he would make the Phillies better. Like he would
definitely
make a better addition to this outfield. Like any of those guys would help this.
Yeah, they'd be huge. So we're on the lookout for a bat, and we'll be monitoring every rumor out there with James on the trade desk.